All right, here we go. This is crazy. I really want to get this out because I do believe it can help a lot of the creators out there. There's there's a problem that we typically face, and it's we think that our one film or our one flyer or our one just whatever the piece is the I don't want to say the best in the world, but it's like one of those things like you work so hard on this one piece and you put so much time and work and effort into it to make it perfect, and you put it out there, and a lot of times we're disappointed. We put it out there and expect it to like get all these views and likes and comments and etc etc, and for honestly quite a bit of us that doesn't happen. And I'm here to tell you that you should not count on that one piece. I mean, you should, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Like in a different way. I'm going to explain this, and I'm going to show you how you can transform that one piece. And I'm talking about films, so this is kind of more. This is related to films, but I believe you can use this same concept to anything. So I had an idea. This started I think last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. 2 weeks ago I think, and I was like, can I systematically make a promotional film for a client in a way that only took me, about an hour of production and maybe 4 to 5 hours of post production? Can I make it happen fairly quickly and also make it look really, really nice? And also, not only that, it'd be like really systematic. So it's like a lot of times you might feel like you're all over the place at a shoot, or you're counting a lot on the client or whatever. And I wanted to create a format where the bare minimum was required of the um, client or the person or the talent or whatever. Anyways, long story short, I was able to pull that off, and it looked really, really great. I did that for my friend Stoven. You can go over to my YouTube channel, Hey Will Mosley, that handle, and look it up. Or you can go over to heywillmosley.com. It is the first video up there for Stoven. Then I was like, okay, I've done it once. I'm going to do it again. So I went ahead and did it for myself again, just to make sure that it was something that could be done repeatedly over and over. And lo and behold, yes, it was. It was great. Sweet. So I got that down pat. Now, here's the thing. These films, they're roughly 3 to 4 minutes. A 3 to 4 minute film is not exactly that long, but it is kind of long in the web world. What I mean is, if you accept that initial project, that initial final asset that you created that's so perfect, if you're willing to put that out, and then after that's been put out, break it up and use it for all sorts of different uses, then you will be able to freaking just dominate in the create, as in like how much content you're able to create without the crazy amount of effort that Gary Vee said. I think Gary Vee's great about like hustle or work hard. But there is such thing as burnout, and I definitely experienced that stuff. So my mind is always focused on how can I create the best quality content I can at a high level of quantity. How can I make that happen? Because I care a lot about what I put out. And so here's what you do. I'm just going to tell you what I did. Take it or leave it, whatever. But by the end of this 3 to 4 minute film turns into roughly 120 pieces of content. 120, maybe 100, but 120 is, I'm pretty positive. We'll do the math in a second. But a 3 a 3-minute film, 120 pieces of content that you can post, original pieces of content. I'm going to explain, I'm going to do the breakdown, okay? So first and foremost, you create this film, and if you've done a really good job of like almost every second, every 2 seconds, the frames are changing up. You've got a lot of different things going on, a lot of different shots. They're not the same shots over and over. This is going to really work well for you, which my films are like that. Like, they're changing every single second. So first, you're going to, we'll start with the low count. First, you export your film. That's one piece of content. And then you can export your film as a podcast. That's 2 pieces of content. Then you take your film, and I've created a little, like a thing in Final Cut to do like all this hard work for me repeatedly over. But you then take the film and you chop it into 15-second clips. You're not looking for a specific part of the film. You're literally starting at time code 000 and going up 15 seconds, cut. Going up 15 seconds, cut. Going up 15 seconds, cut. I promise you, people, and this is the biggest thing that I've learned from doing mad social media content. People have a short amount of time in their day that they want to focus on any one thing. They are completely fine with watching 15 seconds of your content, and that's that. But here's the thing. If you're continuously posting, they'll see more and more and more 15 seconds of your content. And like, if you think that they're actually going to watch that 10 or 20-minute film, a few of them will. A few of them. But not the vast majority. You know, unless you get that really big following and all that stuff, and you have dedicated people that like crave your content. The vast majority of people that are coming to your content, they're cool with watching 15 seconds. They're even cool with watching 30 seconds of your content. And you gotta kind of build that up. It's like a hey, hi, you know, what's up? Versus like you sitting and listening to a stranger talk for 3 minutes about just something that you don't even know if you care about. Does that make sense? Anyways, moving back to the content piece. So that 3-minute film, I'm usually able to get about, I think, 13-ish pieces, like 15 second clips from that. So we'll count it at 15 pieces of content there. I then, and this is for, like, I'm talking about a 3 to 4 minute film, but typically, like, this works even way better for a 10-minute film. Then typically, I'll actually cut for 30 seconds in those films as well, and cut for 1 minute. Does that make sense? Where I'm cutting for all the 15 seconds like in a row, but I also go back and make a clip that's 30 seconds, you know, and systematically kind of do that too. That yields another 5-6-ish pieces of content. Let's just assume we're up to, like, I don't know, 20 right now. Now here's where things get kind of crazy. If you've been very good about changing up the frames, like making your film really nice and changing up the frames, and this is why I appreciate this, because I work really hard on this 3-minute film, 4-minute film. I work really hard, so I'm not giving up the creativity of like putting in like the hard work, but I'm also yielding much more results than just one, you know, final asset. So I go through on the timeline, and this is the equivalent of going to the next frame or the next scene, I guess you can say, the next movie clip, pressing up or pressing down. I can't remember which one it is. And then, because my process is showing the creative process, and I want to show my timeline, I want to show like how I'm creating these films, just that, like, I can screenshot I can screenshot whatever's on the screen right there, and that is an original piece of content, because it's a different frame, it has the timeline, the time code. And what's going to happen is I'm actually going to write like a sentence about whatever's kind of going on in that moment, just as a photo. So this is like a photo post, not a video post anymore. It's like a photo post. So it might be like I landed on my van or whatever, which happened to be in the film, and I write a post about, wow, we've had this van for 4 or 5 months. It's doing awesome. It's great not to have to pay a car payment, and so that's an original piece of content. I did this for the 3.5 minute film and ended up with 70 screenshots. That's crazy. So that's roughly 90-ish pieces of content right there. Now, let's say that you're not too fond of sharing your like timeline or whatever it is. You could technically full screen like the film itself, and as you go through like each kind of frame, or you can screenshot that, and those are still very good images that you can use for social media. That you literally, there may be a couple that just don't work or that are a repeat, but each of those are photos that you can talk about. And I've made all those squares. I actually took the process of pulling them all to my phone and making a square of them so they're easy to kind of pull. And that's there. Okay, I'm going to take a deep breath, and after the break, I'm going to finish this up. If you are still in the market for a wedding film or even an elope film, like say you're wanting to go off and like get married secretly and you just want it to be captured, like, and eventually maybe shared, or you just want to have that for you and your significant other, your SO, I can make that happen for you. Elope films, wedding films, whatever, on the weekend. Go over to Hey Will Mosley, Mosley, heywillmosley.com to get a quote. Or if you're just curious and want to see my work, go over to Instagram at heywillmosley, and you'll be able to see all my work and get a good idea of if you're vibing me or not. Okay. Coming to the wrap. So we ended up before the break with almost 100 pieces, like 90-ish, and I'm just doing general guesses right here. Like, I know how many pieces I was able to create yesterday, but I also know that that's consistent with how all my other films are. Now, stories. Let's talk stories for a second, because these are all more pieces of content. The hard thing that I had found with stories is, like, when I'm making a horizontal film, it drives me nuts that it's I can't use it in a vertical format. That is not the case anymore. I figure out a way to make them squares and then use the film background and blur it to make like a story. And what I do is I add like text, like a sentence over where the blurred background is. And if you're like kind of curious at all about what this kind of looks like, go over to like my Instagram at heywillmosley, and you'll be able to see like in my highlights a lot of the stuff I'm talking about, because I know it's hard on the podcast sometimes. I'm trying to explain things, you're trying to visualize, and some things make sense, some things don't. But pretty much you can take the film, and I know we cut it up 15 seconds, but we're going to do this for the stories now and go a little bit further. Every 15-second clip, we're going to watch and think about the thought. What's kind of being conveyed in here? Like, what can I give back, with this? What am I trying to convey with this? So something might be like just, live your passion, or something might be more like make sure you have a good sight line for your drone, so you don't lose it like me, like some type of text. And so I end up exporting all of that stuff. I do pretty much the same thing every 15 seconds. And that ends up becoming like another like 15, like 13, 15-ish clips or whatever. So we're roughly at about 100 films or 100 pieces of content right here from one 3.5 whatever minute film. Now imagine if it was a 7-minute film. That's 200 pieces of content. And the great thing about this is because you are able to work and focus really hard on this one piece of content, like you put a lot of work into it, you can yield a lot of good results just from that one seed. As long as you're willing to accept that your one film, your one whatever final asset, doesn't have to be viewed exactly right like that. Like, people will eventually see the pillar content, the beautiful piece of content, but most people are just wanting to watch it quick, couple seconds here, couple seconds here. Alright, hopefully that wasn't just a blur, but I'm hoping just one person listens to this, understands it, and actually puts it into practice. Because, like, it's real. Like, people wonder how I'm able to do all this stuff, and this is how. That's what I do. I didn't even talk about the podcast or the newsletter or I ain't talking about the newsletter or the blog post or any of that type of stuff that counts as content too. But onward, my throat is parched. I'm going to go ahead and listen to my book. Hope you have a good commute, a good work day, a good anything, everything, whatever it is that you're doing. Positive vibes all the way through. Alright, bye guys.